What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here for PackersNews.com. Walking down the street. I'm heading on my way to an event this evening. It's the bye week, man. I got to go out. But as I do, I thought I'd jump on here and talk to you fine folks about the Green Bay Packers. See what's on your mind as they head into the bye weekend. No game, lots to think about. Aaron Rodgers talking about having 13 screws inserted into his shoulder, but maybe he was joking. Well, I guess we'll find out later on Conan O'Brien tonight when he appears on Clueless Gamer. But just seeing what's up. Hey, Mason, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Other than that, a lot written about today. This morning on Morning Buzz, I posted a lot of stuff in regards to the defense and the issues they're having lately. And it's funny to watch the reaction of lots of commentators saying, "Oh, I've been saying the defense has been bad for a long time." And yeah, it's easy to say that, and it's a lot harder to pinpoint why when there are a lot of different reasons and a lot of moving parts. And I thought the three pieces I linked to today did a really good job of that. Why McCartney? I think are you thinking McCaffrey? Max McCaffrey? Because he had an excellent camp, and he became available. And you got to think they probably wanted to keep him in the first place, but he got claimed when they cut him. I don't think he got claimed, but he got signed after they cut him. And they saw an opportunity to bring him back. And plus, with Brett Hundley being the quarterback now, you got to think, that's a guy that Hundley showed he had great chemistry with. Now, obviously, McCaffrey's not on the 53, but he is on the practice squad. And the chance to maybe bring him up later if they need a receiver, I think it's just smart business. What is the schedule like for the bye week? Well, the players are off until Tuesday. We don't know what Brett Hundley's schedule is going to be like. He said he was sticking around town. Obviously, he'll be working with the coaching staff. How is Vince Beagle looking? We don't know yet. We don't really get to see him do much outside of the drill work when we take attendance. But he will be an interesting one to watch as far as if he'll be active, if he'll be placed on the 53-man roster. Remember, he is just practicing now. He is not officially on the squad until they make room for him, which means they'll have to cut someone to do so. And I would think that happens either this week or the next. Sorry, just looking where I'm going so I don't get run over. The Packers should trade for Nick Foles. You people are crazy. The skies look about the same as Wisco. Yeah, it's about to open up here. Prediction, do we make the postseason this year? Justin, I doubt it. But then again, as Han Solo said, never tell me the odds. What's the game plan with Ty now? More wide receiver work? Wait, I think they'll mix in both. I think it'll be a combination of things. I think you'll definitely see him split out a lot more, but I also think you'll see him work from the backfield on third down. Boom, McCaffrey. Yeah, that's McCaffrey. That's the one I'm talking about. All right, now I'm going to cross the street. Pray I don't die. Let's see how we're doing. Oh, yeah, doing good. NFC North looking a lot tougher than the start of the year. That's why I always say when the schedule comes out in April, everyone always wants to predict a record and predict how the season's going to go. Man, after week one, everything's different. After 1 month, everything's different. It's never how it looks on paper. So it's always best to reserve judgment and kind of stand back for a while and let it unfold. What you'd give our draft grade so far? Incomplete. You can't really give grades until the guys have been in the league for a few years. But I tell you what, early returns are good. You look at Kevin King, I think, has been a plus. Aaron Jones has obviously been a plus. Josh Jones has been up and down. Some good, some bad, but that's to be expected from a rookie. So if Vince Beagle can come off of the PUP and contribute, I think it's a pretty strong-looking class right out of the gate. Now, let's not get fooled here. Both Demarius Randall and Quentin Rollins look good coming out of the gate. We all saw how that has played out. So it's always best to reserve judgment for a while. What does it seem like the Packers have such a big problem with injuries? Well, because they do. Doesn't seem like it. They do have a problem with injuries, but I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. No bigger a problem than anyone else in the league. It is funny to watch how everyone made a big deal out of comparing the injury reports last week with New Orleans and Green Bay, but New Orleans only had 2 people on the injury report, but they also had 16 people on IR, whereas the Packers have like 6 or 7. So everybody's dealing with injuries. The Ravens and the Chargers had more guys on IR than I think the Packers had all last year before this season even started. So it's the injury rate in the NFL is 100%. That's what you always got to remember. All right, crossing the street again, making sure I don't die. Very good. But everyone else can win and win with a backup. Well, not everyone, but teams do it. Some teams do and some teams don't. And I tell you what, McCarthy has got to start winning some games with a backup quarterback. Shouldn't they look for a new conditioning coach? Corey, I don't think so. I think they're on the cutting edge of everything having to do with both strength and conditioning. Maybe they have to look at something in regards to, what guys are doing throughout the off season, what they're doing when they're away from the facility. But I don't think it's anything to do with what's going on at 1265 Lombardi. They are so out in front of all of that. Sports medicine, diet, all of it. It's hard for me to condemn what is going on inside the facility. Is it a prove-it year for Dom? I think so. I don't think there's any doubt that they've been given, he's been given talent to work with. Is it perfect? No. Are there deficiencies? Of course there are. But every defensive coordinator is working with that. I mean, you look at the improvement after an abysmal start in New England. They've turned their defense around pretty well. Teams all over the league have, problems, issues they have to deal with, they have to paper over. The best coordinators do it. Dom last year I thought was put in a hard spot, talent-wise. This year I can't give him that excuse. I think especially with the infusion of what they've gotten, both from free agency and the draft, I don't think there's any excuses. You've got to make it work. And I'm telling you, those substitution patterns and the problems they have, getting guys in and out, having to blow timeouts, playing with 10 men, that's inexcusable. And it's one thing for it to happen one time. You can kind of laugh it off. But for it to happen a few times, a couple of times, a few weeks in a row, that's inexcusable. And that points to the defensive coordinator. Less is more right now on defense. Matt, I would absolutely agree with that assessment. Let's see. Is the defense too complicated for its own good? Peter, I've been saying that for years. Now, when it works, I think it's a great system. The problem is, for it to work, they need nearly everybody healthy. As soon as they start dealing with injuries, anywhere along, all three kind of levels, that's when it starts to fall apart. And that's just unrealistic in today's NFL to think that you're going to be able to sustain health, all three levels of your defense, for an entire season. Take the leash off Hundley, says Derek. I would only say be careful what you wish for. I think McCarthy was smart to keep that so-called leash on Hundley last week, mostly because you saw that they were in the game in the middle of the fourth quarter, which is pretty much all you can ask for a guy making his first start in the NFL. And, you've got a chance to win it late in the game. And that's mostly because Hundley was not given an opportunity to make any mistakes and throw the game away. You saw the week before when he was in Minnesota, 3 interceptions. That can lose you football games. If you quote-unquote take the leash off, that's all well and good, but you got to be ready to live with the results, and the results could not be pretty. There's every possibility. Now, the other aspect of it is McCarthy's had 3 years working with this kid. He knows his strengths and weaknesses better than anybody. And if that's the game plan he came up with for Hundley after 3 years of working with him, that pretty much tells you what he thinks of his ability to throw it down the field, to work in a wide open attack. Pretty much tells me he wants to keep things buttoned up. He wants to lean on that running game because he doesn't trust Hundley to do it. Now maybe that all changes Monday night against Detroit, but I doubt it. Mike McCarthy does not let coaches go often. Loyal to a fault? Yes and no. I think part of it is he's been there so long. Remember, I think, what is he, the 3rd longest tenured coach in the NFL? It's so rare that guys stick around an organization this long that it seems weird that he's stuck with, like, Dom Capers for so long, but there aren't a whole lot of other kind of examples to point to where coaches have been in the same spot for so long. I mean, Belichick's guys usually leave and get other jobs. Marvin Lewis, who I think is the 2nd longest tenured, he just fired his first coordinator in season ever when he let go of his offensive coordinator to promote Bill Lazor, although he has fired guys along the way. I always point to Lovie Smith. Remember Lovie, towards his last 5 years in Chicago, 3 or 4 years in Chicago, he kept letting guys go, whether it was offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. That's a sign that you are kind of passing the buck, so to speak. I think it speaks well of McCarthy that, he, for whatever faults Dom Capers may have, he has said, look, this is my guy. I'm going to ride with him, after he made the drastic change from Bates all those years ago. Now, yes, the time is coming when, he's going to have to reckon with the idea that Dom Capers, the results year after year in the playoffs, at some point you have to kind of look at that and say, all right, this is as good as it's ever going to get with this coordinator. It is time to make a change. We're a long way away from that. They have to even get to that spot, they have to entertain the idea of even making the postseason. And we're a long way from getting that determination. Should we have drafted Watt instead of King? Well, you can't just make it as simple as that, because, as I keep telling everybody, it's not just Watt versus King. It's Watt versus King and Beagle. And we haven't even seen Beagle on the field yet. King has had his ups and downs, but his play is promising. Now let's see what they get out of Vince Beagle before we even start to compare. And even then, you have to wait a couple years. So I understand the instant nature of it all on the internet, everything having to be judged and graded instantly. That's what drives traffic, and that's why, everyone in my industry does it, and that's why people click on it. I get all that. But you just realistically can't do it until you see the whole package. Remember, when they traded down, they traded and, they got 2 draft picks out of that trade. One of which was Kevin King, the other one of which was Vince Beagle. So let's see Beagle play a little bit before we start making, sweeping declarations of what they should or shouldn't have done in the draft. Will this season be a referendum on the pack and how they do things? It's possible. I think it's really dependent on how it goes. But, if they continue to play like they did Sunday and, all the same warts keep popping up, I think it might be. But you got to remember, McCarthy, he's here through 2018. So he's got, if it all falls apart on him this year, he's still got another year on his deal. And I can't imagine Ted Thompson letting him go prior to his final season. Thompson is contracted through the 2018 draft. I can't imagine him saying, okay, I'm going to fire this guy and bring in another guy for the last year of my contract. I don't see that happening. So I'm just going to chill here for a second. Watch them extend Ted Thompson during this bye. Oh, Matt, I don't think there's enough internet power for me to deal with all the comments if that happened. Do you think we'll see Mays? Interested to see what he can do. I think he's the hardest runner of the 3 rookies that they got. He has some limitations. His pass pro is up and down in camp, but I really like the kid. I thought he was actually my favorite as far as just pure running style. That guy runs people over, and he's fun to watch. Michael, that's very nice of you to say. Thank you so much. You guys bring in Rex. Man, I said last year they should go get Rex Ryan, but, I knew it wasn't going to happen. Jamal Williams lost on the sauce. I'm not sure what that is implying, but, Jamal Williams is definitely taking back seat to Aaron Jones. There's no doubt about that. I think Hundley's timing improves. I think, a week extra of practice with those guys, I think it'll definitely improve. Brandon, where are you going, Aaron? Well, let me tell you. I'm on my way to a screening of Logan with Patrick Stewart at the Museum of the Moving Image here in Queens. And I am really excited, so you'll have to forgive me as I'm kind of giddily walking up and down the streets of Queens talking to you fine folks, because I'm about to meet Patrick Stewart, which is pretty freaking cool. What are your thoughts on House's play this year? He's funny. I think he's kind of picked up right where he left off. Up and down when he's on the field, not on the field a whole lot. He was injured a lot of the time when he was here the previous 4 years. He's been injured a lot of the time so far this year. What if you get mugged? Christopher, come to New York City sometime. Do you think Aaron Jones will be the starter for the remainder of the year? Andrew, yes. Yes, I do. 4-3, week 9 is big for us. I agree, Billy. A week extra players were at a WWE event. Yeah, Jason, they have lives. This idea that they go home and just sleep with their playbooks is so ridiculous. Yeah, they were at a WWE event. I'm going to see Patrick Stewart. We have lives. People have lives, man. Do you do your job all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? No? What a shock. Of course they were at a WWE event. God forbid, they have some fun. Could Matthews be trade bait? Not with that contract. Not a chance. Next year, he's slated to make, I think it's $15 million. No one's trading for that. Aaron Jones runs for 1,000 yards? I think so. Play 4-3 on defense and man-to-man. Well, Tracy, they've mixed in some 4-3 looks, or I won't even say 4-3. thrown in some 4-man front looks. They haven't really played 4-3. Not traditional, anyway. And you know what? I've never been a huge fan of that idea as long as Capers is the coordinator, just because that's not who he is. It's not his history. You know, he's a 3-4 guy through and through. And they have tried to mix in 4-3 stuff, but it's never gone very well. It's up and down sometimes, but he's a 3-4 guy to his core. So if they were ever to move to a straight traditional 4-3, I think they would have to get a new defensive coordinator. You giving Perry kind of a pass on injury, or he's got to step up? Man, I tell you what, Nick Perry was paid a lot of money to get to the quarterback, and it's happened few and far between so far this year. And yes, he has been injured, but he's been playing. And if you step on the field, you're in between the white lines, you are judged accordingly. Everyone is. Everyone on the field is. So, yeah, I don't think you can look at it anything as other than an early disappointment. Now, it's a multi-year contract. You got a lot to play out yet, but, you know, yes, he absolutely, I think, has to pick up his game. Lack of pressure due to lack of talent or scheme? I think a bit of both, but Levi, I would say I would lean more toward the talent side. I said all offseason, all camp really, that the big issue on defense was going to be getting to the quarterback. I said Dom was going to have to scheme guys free because, as it looked, you knew Clay Matthews and Nick Perry had a long history of injury, and behind them, they didn't have a whole lot. So you kind of knew coming into the year that they were going to have to scheme guys to get to the quarterback, and there hasn't been a whole lot of that. There's been some of it, but not a whole lot. Josh Jones flashed against the Bengals, but they haven't sent him much since then. So, you know, there's talent there. I don't think there's enough of it. And coupled with, you know, Dom's inability to get guys free, that's like what I say. I think it's a mix of both. Thoughts on Kenny Clark? On track for second year? I think so. I think he's absolutely one of their best players on defense. I mean, talk about hitting a home run with a pick. You know, Ted Thompson gets a lot of grief for his first-round picks on defense for good reason, but that one has absolutely been a hit so far. Clark is only getting better week by week, and he has shown an ability to do a lot of the stuff that doesn't show up on the highlight tapes, but, man, that guy is a really good football player, and he's still very young. I'm going to take one or two more, guys. Are they hiding Montravius Adams? I don't know what's going on with Adams, I got to admit. They say, you know, he's clear, he's not injured, but he's a healthy scratch every week. So, I mean, it's a great mystery at this point. Let's see, what do you think are the chances of the Packers making the playoffs? Caleb asked me again after the Detroit game. Right now, I stand at not good, but as Han Solo said, never tell me the odds. I like Dom, but a change needs to be made. Keith, it's a possibility. Why does Capers stay in Green Bay? Because they haven't kicked him out yet. How about moving Matthews inside? Timothy, they do it a little bit. They move him around, but they've kept him outside for the most part. I tend to agree with you. I think they should move him inside more, but every time we ask McCarthy about it, he gets all touchy. Says they move him around all over the place, which they kind of do, but not really. But I think he would be much better served inside. The issue is, especially now that, you know, Brooks has been hurt, you've seen Odom and Fackrell doing absolutely nothing. So if you move Matthews inside, you're stuck with statues outside. So then you're kind of weakening, you know, the outside linebacker spot when they have pretty decent play inside with Martinez and, you know, when Burnett's healthy, Burnett and Jones. So I kind of understand why they haven't done it. All right, everyone. I am here, so I'm going to take off, but thank you so much. And if you missed, the replay will be up at PackersNews.com shortly. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you're checking all of our stuff out at PackersNews.com, including my latest podcast, which just dropped this afternoon. And then, you know, we'll have stuff up all over the weekend. And then next week, the players report back Tuesday. We'll hit the ground running, getting ready for the Lions game. Thanks a lot, everyone. Talk to you guys next week.